Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Friday to you on this May 30th, 2025. I have all of your stories for your rush hour ride home. And if you didn't catch the morning episode, I am recording this remotely from my mobile podcasting studio here in Las Vegas, Nevada, here for Reality Steve's Fan Appreciation Weekend. So pardon the quality of the video here, but we're trying our best. So I've got a lot to get into. I'm going to be sharing a clip of Laura Owens' new lawyer speaking. Laura Owens, of course, has been charged with 7 felony counts. She pleads not guilty. A trial has been set for the end of October this year. We'll be there to cover it, of course. And then we've got Justin Baldoni's lawyer responding to some emotions where he's calling it complete PR stunts. So we'll share what he has to say. And then in other news, it's been revealed that there are bonuses for those ICE members that are rounding up folks and deporting them. What is that all about? And a bird flu vaccination has been canceled. What does this mean for all of us? And more information on these pesky tariffs. So again, we have a lot to get into. We're going to really a lot of drama to end this Friday. So we're going to dive into this right now. All these stories and more coming up next on The Rush. It's pretty wild when you cover pop culture because sometimes things go through the court system and it can be a slow process, as you've seen that play out with Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively. We'll get to that court case right after this, but Bachelor Clayton Echard has spent several years since his ill-fated rendezvous with Laura Owens, and the news is picking it up finally. Here is NBC 12 News in Phoenix, not only discussing the court case. As you guys know, yesterday, Laura pled not guilty to 7 different felony counts. And of course, she's, everything we've said for 2 years, where she faked medical evidence, she faked ultrasound, she stole videos from her sister claiming to be pregnant. And again, this was at least the 3rd man, maybe 5th man that she's done this to. So now mainstream media is picking it up, and it's so interesting to see them learn about this for the first time. I'm going to play this clip for you, and then in this clip, we're going to hear from Laura's new attorney, and what he has to say might shock you. Have a listen to this.
Here's a woman accused of faking a pregnancy with a reality TV star and lying under oath made her first court appearance today.
The woman, Laura Owens, still claims she was carrying a child belonging to Bachelor TV star Clayton Echard. 12 News journalist Sean Rice spoke with her criminal defense attorney. All right, Sean, what's the story here?
Yeah, first time today we got to see her in court, albeit virtually. First time we're hearing from her criminal defense attorney as well. Josh Kolsrud represents Laura Owens and will defend her against a 7-count indictment. That indictment accuses Owens of altering an ultrasound image, lying under oath, and fabricating a pregnancy video, all as a part of her alleged scheme.
Now, she definitely fabricated that video. She definitely faked HCG. She admitted to that. She lied about where she got the ultrasounds. I mean, there's a million things you could get her on, but these 7 counts, after raiding her house, I believe it was on Easter, whenever it was, the evidence that they have, it must be overwhelming. It makes you wonder why her lawyer thinks they even have a shot, or does her lawyer want to do some sort of plea deal?
The man she claims was the father of her child, Clayton Echard, says there is no way possible that she was pregnant, as the pair never engaged in sexual intercourse. Now, this morning, Owens was allowed to appear virtually. She didn't have to turn her camera on, and she pleaded not guilty to all 7 charges. Now, this all began back in August of 2023 when Owens filed a paternity lawsuit in Maricopa County courts, claiming she was pregnant with twins. She even presented an ultrasound image as evidence to prove it. That image a judge would later find to be fake, taken from a nearly decade-old YouTube video. Months later, Owens would claim in court that she suffered a miscarriage. Then she asked the judge to dismiss her own paternity lawsuit. Still, Owens claims that she was pregnant, but later admitted to altering medical records. Now, before this indictment, Owens had no prior criminal history, something her criminal defense attorney told me today will work in her favor if she is indeed found guilty.
So look, it might work in her favor that she's got no history, but what's not going to work in her favor is that she's done this to multiple men. Mike Maricini, she's done this to Greg Gillespie. She's accused Greg Woodnick, the attorney for Clayton Eckert, of crazy things. She's accused me of wild stuff. She's called the FBI on me and the county attorney in Los Angeles. I mean, she's insane. So yes, she has no prior record, but you got to start somewhere, Laura. And that place you're starting is on October 23rd when your trial begins.
The fact that she doesn't have any prior criminal history shows that this incident or number of incidents was aberrant in nature. That is, it doesn't define who she is, and we need to remember that for the remainder of her entire life, she's been a law-abiding citizen.
And Kolsrud told me today he is still in the process of reviewing all the evidence presented in the case that could be presented at a potential trial. He would not comment on whether or not he could prove in court that Owens did suffer that miscarriage or prove if she was pregnant at all in the first place.
By the way, just because she hasn't ever been held accountable to her actions doesn't mean she's always been a law-abiding citizen. We've got evidence that no one's really seen, but we have it, evidence that I've seen, where she faked an attack by either the San Francisco Police Department or a police department within San Francisco, where she blatantly faked being assaulted. So this is like, she has been abusing this system for far too long. And I hate to say it, but the buck stops here, right? We are not letting her get away with this. And if some quack wants to be a quack, it's like, all right, well, no big deal, go be a quack, right? But lives are at stake here, as she has affected the livelihood of multiple men and the people that rely on them for income, right? The families of Mike Maricini, Greg Gillespie, and Clayton Eckert, their parents, all of the gossip that goes on where people don't know, wow, did they actually do this or what? And like she pretends to be abused in a video that still exists online with Mike Maricini. I mean, it has to end. So for her attorney to say she's been a law-abiding citizen, it's like, first of all, I hope she's paying you a lot of money to say that. But again, he's new to the case. So if you need to contact us, I'm sure we could crack open the binder full of evidence and show you the contrary to her being law-abiding.
Now, Owens' next court date is scheduled for July 11th. A trial date is set for later in October. She has maintained her innocence through this entire multi-year process, and she has told 12 News in the past that she looks forward to proving that in court.
Well, she can keep saying that, right? I look forward to my day in court, and then she gets her day in court, and what does she do? The judge is biased, the judge's father, the this, the that, they're out to get me. They're weaponizing this. Shut the F up, Laura Owens, you liar. You absolute liar. What a lunatic. Okay, let's move it on. Wayfair. Okay, let's go to Justin Baldoni. And she is a liar. She is a known liar. She lied to me multiple times. She faked medical evidence. I mean, I can finally, without worry about lawsuits, call it what it is. She is a liar. Okay, so coming up next, we've got Justin Baldoni. Big news as his law firm adds a seasoned trial attorney, Ellen Garofalo, to the council. We'll discuss this, and I'm also going to read what Brian Friedman, power attorney for Justin Baldoni, wrote in response to a motion that was filed earlier this week. The amicus that was there on behalf of Blake Lively. These stories coming next. Well, this is a big deal if you want to see this go to trial, that being Justin Baldoni versus Blake Lively, as Justin Baldoni has added veteran trial lawyer Ellen Garofalo. She boasts an illustrious legal career, known to be a fierce advocate, successfully representing clients in complex, high-profile matters. Well, now she's going to be representing old J-Balls, Justin Baldoni. If you think they hired her because they're looking to settle this, I've got news for you. They hired her. They hired her because they want this thing to go to trial and they want to win. It's kind of like the way I look at it. It's like if you got a baseball team and they have this thing called the trading deadline. Halfway through the season, it's the deadline where you can make trades. And as a baseball team, you need to decide: are we going to make a run for the playoffs? Can we win the World Series? If so, we'll try to acquire new talent. Or if your team kind of stinks, you might say, you know what, we're going to try to sell some of the team off and we'll cut our losses and we'll come back next year. Well, this is Justin Baldoni's side acquiring new talent in Ellen Garofalo, saying, all right, we've done all of the pre-trial work we need to do, all of the the subsurface stuff, and now we need an absolute all-star. And by hiring Ellen Garofalo, especially in a matter relating to harassment at the workplace, you've got what appears to be, just by the photo, a very competent and warm female lawyer. And you hate to bring gender into this, but having a female possibly cross-examine Blake Lively would definitely play differently than, say, a male lawyer. So these are the types of things you have to think about, as we did see in the Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard case, when it came to having attorneys there that could speak to somebody in a way that might be more cutting or more revealing to a jury. Now, here's the response from Justin Baldoni's attorney, Brian Friedman, regarding the new motion that was filed this week. He calls it a PR stunt, but I'm just going to read it for you. Dear Judge Lyman, Wayfair Studios, collectively the Wayfair parties, submit this opposition to the letter motion of non-parties equal rights advocates, the California Employment Lawyers Association, and the California Women's Law Center, collectively the organizations, for leave to file a brief as amicus curiae, am I pronouncing that right? I don't think so, in support of Blake Lively's motion to dismiss the amended complaint, which was fully briefed months ago. As described below, the court should deny the organization's motion for leave to file an untimely partisan amicus brief that merely serves as a vehicle to renew Blake Lively's public attacks against the Wayfair parties, repeat arguments previously made by Lively, and raise issues that are irrelevant to the pending motion to dismiss. While the Wayfair parties respect the three organizations seeking amici status, their brief fails to aid the court in its task at the pleading stage. If for any reason the court grants the organizations leave to file a brief, the Wayfair parties should be permitted to file a responsive brief. As an initial matter, the organizations filed their belated motion with Lively's consent almost 2 months after Lively's motion to dismiss has been fully briefed, enabling Lively to resume unwarranted attacks on the Wayfair parties with inflammatory comments to the press. The motion serves more as a publicity stunt for Lively than a useful aid for the court at the pleading stage. The motion should be denied because neither it nor the proposed brief satisfies the limited conditions under which a district court may consider an amicus brief. The circumstances under which an amicus brief is considered to be an aid to the court are limited. An amicus brief should normally be allowed when a party is not represented competently or is not represented at all, when the amicus has an interest in some other case that may be affected by the decisions in the present case. So then they cite the case law. The organizations do not assert that Lively's counsel is incompetent, nor do they identify any other case that may be affected by this court's decision on Lively's motion to dismiss. So as I read this, it kind of reads to me like Justin Baldoni's attorney, Brian Friedman, is saying this type of amicus usually comes out when there's some incompetence happening. We just want to inform the court. We need to legally explain things to people. And he's saying that's not the case, whatever. This is just another way for them to try to harass us. While the Wayfair parties respect the work of the organizations, they are not neutral friends of the court. And by the way, these organizations are the ones that created this sort of law in California that makes it hard to file a retaliatory complaint, or a retaliatory lawsuit against someone who was a whistleblower in the Me Too variety. So that being if Jane Doe was to sue her boss for something that the boss did, maybe harassed her or whatever, the boss cannot sue her back in order to drain her and punish her. Now in this case, that would assume that Justin Baldoni has been found guilty of anything, which hasn't happened yet. While the wayfair parties respect the work okay, so I already got that. The proposed brief raises issues that were not presented by Lively. Finally, the proposed brief violates the timing guidelines used by district courts for such briefs. While the federal rules of civil procedure do not address the submission of amicus briefs, district courts have looked for guidance to Rule 29 of the Federal Rule of Appellate Procedure. So, what the judge is going to decide, I have no idea. But, pretty standard response by Brian Friedman to say, look, we love what you're doing. It's got nothing to do with that. It's just, you have no business being here. You're not a friend to the court. You're a friend of Blake Lively's, really. And, people have said, well, this amicus brief really... This might be the wrong sort of court case to attach yourself to. Now, their concerns are that the judge might rule in this Blake Lively lawsuit in a way that would harm the legitimacy of that law that exists. But again, this is way above my pay grade. Okay, well, coming up next, we have to discuss a crazy story, which is a bird flu vaccine that has been being developed has been canceled. What the hell is this? Have a listen.
Yeah, good morning, Joe. So this is just the latest in a string of events that we've seen related to COVID vaccines over the last week. And what's happening here is that the Trump administration is canceling a more than $700 million contract with Moderna to develop a bird flu vaccine and other pre-pandemic influenza viruses. And so what's really notable about this is that obviously we've seen this, we've seen bird flu tearing through birds and also dairy cows and the risk to humans. And so what we saw in the Biden administration is that they really ramped up this work and they were helping to fund, they were going to fund a phase 3 trial to see if we could use mRNA for a bird flu vaccine if it indeed spills over to humans. And now the cancellation of this vaccine is quite a surprise. Maybe not a surprise now because we had been hearing rumblings about this for the past few months. But, we just saw this contract ramp up right before the last administration left. And now you have the Trump administration saying that they felt like after a rigorous review, we concluded that the continued investment in Moderna's H5N1 mRNA vaccine was not scientifically or ethically justifiable. And they're saying that it's not just about efficacy, it's about safety. And so it's interesting to hear that. All right,
so this feels like the first scene in the new apocalyptic movie. Bird flu ravages after the government decides to pull the vaccine. I mean, look, I don't know. Here's the problem I have, right? The government deciding to stop funding all of this science. It's like, this isn't money that's coming back to us, right? They have this new big, beautiful bill. They want to cut taxes on the ultra wealthy, and now they're literally cutting these social programs that are there to help out. I mean, at this point, it's like we're not getting Doge checks, folks. Like, the money's not coming back. Well, in culture war issues, we shared this clip a few days ago of Lieutenant Governor of Texas basically saying, doing that whole like footloose, like dancing's for the devil, but he's doing it with weed. He's saying these edibles are super deadly and they want to ban them. And the argument against that is, well, adults can decide what they want to do with their bodies. Have a listen to this response to the lieutenant governor.
These THCs and these smoke shops, they're dangerous, they're poisonous, and they are deadly.
I wanted to give an official response to Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick. They are trying to take away 53,000 jobs of hardworking Texans right now and essentially hand our entire industry over to 3 license holders within the Texas Compassionate Use Program. And yet somehow he's making claims that people are dying from what we do, they're becoming psychotic. All of this crazy nonsense that he is literally making up. And it makes sense. If the hemp industry goes away, which had an $8 billion economic impact last year alone in Texas, guess where that money is going to go? Guess who is going to get rich for being involved in the Teacup program and within those companies? For those of you in the House that understand what is going on and being pressured by the Lieutenant Governor, we highly urge you to protect the 53,000 Texans that are very hardworking and dedicated to doing the best thing for Texas possible.
Yeah, this same issue was happening in Tennessee where they're starting to roll back. There was plenty of, I don't know if it's THCA or these different strains of THC. They're rolling it back, which means all these farmers that invested all this money in growing hemp now can't do that. So again, it's just, it's wild because it's like, let people do what they want with their body, and by the way, I don't think weed is perfectly safe all the time. People do have psychotic breaks, and there are people that can get their brains fried. But also, look at alcohol. People, commit horrible things because of alcohol. People kill each other because they get too drunk to drive and whatnot. And alcohol is not banned. So, it's one of those things where if you're going to ban one thing, then you start banning everything. And if this is the government, these Republicans that are supposed to be for small business, for small government, where is that? It seems like they just want to control everybody.
$2 billion a day. This
is interesting here. Here's a clip from Donald Trump. God bless him, right? Here's a clip from Donald Trump. Again, this is from a month ago, but it is so funny where he talks about how much money is coming in from the tariffs. Have a listen to this.
And for those of you that want to know the tariffs, you've been hearing about tariffs, we're taking in almost $2 billion a day in tariffs.
So they talk about taking in $2 billion a day as if they're, a lemonade stand, just making money, not realizing that the money they're taking in comes from U.S. businesses, and the businesses raise the price of the goods so that the consumers pay that. So really, the U.S. consumers are raising $2 billion. And trust me, that's money that could go to people's family vacation and all, things. It doesn't have to, but instead it's going to the government because they have bills to pay and they're doing tax breaks for the ultra wealthy. And I say that because now we have the White House saying that the courts should have no role in the Trump tariffs. And it's like, are you not familiar with what the courts do? They are the ones to interpret the law and tell you what you're doing is wrong. Have a listen.
The courts should have no role here. 3 judges of the U.S. Court of International Trade disagreed and brazenly abused their judicial power to usurp the authority of President Trump. These judges failed to acknowledge that the President of the United States has core foreign affairs powers and authority given to him by Congress to protect the United States economy and national security. Congress firmly rejected an effort led by Senator Rand Paul and Democrats to terminate the president's reciprocal tariffs. There is a troubling and dangerous trend of unelected judges inserting themselves into the presidential decision-making process. America cannot function if President Trump, or any other president for that matter, has their sensitive diplomatic or trade negotiations railroaded by activist judges. President Trump is in the process of rebalancing America's trading agreements with the entire world.
I mean, how funny is this where they say these judges shouldn't usurp the president's decisions? That's what the judges are there to do. They're there to put guardrails on democracy and the Constitution and tell people when they can't get away with things. Now, this is interesting, right? Because Trump's got this new big, beautiful bill that just went through the House of Representatives and it's going through Senate. And there is Section 70302. And again, a lot of these people didn't even read the bill. I want to share what Ryan Grimm has to say about this. He is a man that I very much trust as a very, very good journalist. There is a new section of this bill that will basically make it so that judges no longer have authority. What?
Section 70302 of Trump's big, beautiful bill is getting a ton of attention on this app. This is a provision of the legislation that is rather shocking when you unpack it. I checked and went and read it for myself in the bill, and it is as people are describing it on TikTok, which is basically that it blocks judges and courts from enforcing contempt citations against the government for not following court orders. In other words, the judiciary issues a ruling. If you don't follow the ruling, then you are in contempt of court. But if you can't hold somebody in contempt of court, there's actually no reason for you to have to follow the ruling.
So they want to basically ban the metaphorical spanking, right? The consequences. Boy, I tell you what, When the topic was taking away people's Second Amendment rights, they flipped out. I'll live or die by the Constitution. You can't take my Second Amendment rights away from me. And yet here's a bill that is going to take away the consequences of apparently the executive branch, the president, not listening to judges. You just wish our country would come together and be unified over something so simple as defending the Constitution. Now, here's something crazy. Almost $1 billion is earmarked in this bill to go to ICE bonuses, a $42,000 bonus to every single ICE employee in addition to their salary. Have a listen to this.
And then this one's my favorite. I don't know if you know this, but you guys have $858 million, again, almost $1 billion, okay, of money to give out bonuses to people. And so listen, bonuses are great when people do good work, but $858 million sounds like a lot of money. That's like a $40,000 bonus to every employee in all of ICE. So well, how about $500 million? How about $500 million for bonuses, okay? We can do this together. We can show the American people there's like a little bit of waste here, So I can help you capture, Mr. Chairman, $903 million. We can save $1 billion together, show the American people we're serious.
Will the gentleman yield for a question?
Of course I will.
You raise a profoundly serious point in your inimitable way, Mr. Moskowitz. Well, the bonuses, that is a huge bonus budget.
Yeah.
What does that work out? Have you done the math to see what that works out in terms of bonus per ICE employee?
$42,000 for every employee in a bonus, in addition to their salary.
A $42,000 bonus?
Yeah, $42,000. And because you and I sometimes are symbiotic, you're probably going to ask me, what is the average bonus for the American worker in this country?
Do you know what that is?
It's $2,500.
That's the average Christmas bonus is $2,500.
The average Christmas bonus, because Christmas is back, the average Christmas bonus is $2,500, but they want to give $42,000. And what I would suggest in my amendment is instead of $42,000, they get $25,000. That sounds like a lot of money.
Well, it seems to me you've probably hit upon the one thing we really could effectuate a compromise on, although I don't know that we're going to be able to talk to them about it, but maybe they'll just vote for it.
I mean, listen, if no one there wants to talk, bring in Comer. He'll definitely talk to me.
All right, so they're clearly speaking in jest at how ridiculous this is, right? Doge was this organization that was supposed to come in and cut all the fat, and now they want to add $1 trillion, past the big $1 trillion level for Department of Defense spending. They essentially, the Trump administration has spent more money so far in their first term than Biden did, and they're supposed to come in and balance the budget. Now, we know that's not going to happen, but let me ask my audience, is anyone out there getting a $42,000 bonus? Do you feel like your tax dollars should be rewarding these masked men and women who are going out there terrorizing random people, showing up to job sites and ripping families apart, nonviolent immigrants that live in our country? Are we really trying to bonus with our tax dollars, our money? A lot of us can't afford a $400 emergency payment, and we want our tax money to go to this craziness. Make it make sense. Now listen, if you are new to my channel, on Friday afternoons, we always like to tell our boss to go F themselves, but I think today, as we leave this episode alone, we need to tell these ICE bonuses to go F themselves. Have a good weekend, everybody. I'll be back Monday morning. As always, I'm Dave, and this is The Rush.